Well, before I get on with this video, that's my little rambunctious friendly guy, Onyx, just like his mommy. He's a real, there's Dixie over there. So, I'm going to change out the carburetor on the Briggs Stratton motor, even though I cleaned it in an ultrasonic cleaner. Seems like the primer pump doesn't work right, and maybe it's an internally broken, which it still could start up, just prime it with a little gas or starting fluid. It still runs fine, but figured after 20-something years, I'll change the carburetor out, and I'll pull apart the old carburetor and actually disassemble it and clean it up really good, put it back together, spray it down WD-40, and put it in a little plastic Ziploc bag, and it'll still work as a spare, but we're changing this one out to make sure it's runs like new. And that's my little, this guy's freaking zombie like glue too, Mr. Onyx. Okay, here's the old Briggs Stratton 20-something year old mower. Here's the new carburetor. It's nice because it's got a new gasket with it too. I actually changed this. This probably is dirty in here, but it's still probably got to disassemble it, probably fix it. But I figure I'm going to get a new one, and I want this gasket on here anyway. Of course, I painted it orange. I put my little flag up there, peace, love, and hope. But this is it. It's got the spring. A lot of times goes wrong with them. It's not just the diaphragm, that filter or that filter. Usually this filter is like completely it's not just the bottom part of the filter, but it comes with the kit. It's got the diaphragm and the gasket. You put the diaphragm to the gas tank, then the gasket goes between the diaphragm and the carburetor. So the gasket doesn't go on top of the gas tank because it also won't run. And it comes with new screws. So you only got one bolt here and one bolt here. And this one has a little spacer. Sometimes they don't have that spacer. It's like behind the bolt. In my case, these are 10 millimeter. That's what they seem like. I don't know, maybe they are not 10 millimeter, but 10 millimeter works. I'm kind of surprised. They could be, usually they're 11 millimeter or 7/16, same damn thing, or 3/8, but whatever. So you just unscrew them, and of course you disassemble your air cleaner. Just one screw, but not difficult. Normally, what breaks on these though is the diaphragm. If you're using, it's not a big deal. The diaphragm and that gasket I think costs like $1 or something, $1.25, and it's nice. I got the little gasket. Well, I don't know what your freaking foam filter does anyway, but normally the diaphragm, this rubber right here, it wears out. That's like your pump. That's normally what breaks on these, or it gets gummed up and the flap gets gummed up or some garbage. You got 5 screws on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you got this thing plugs onto that hole there, and there's only one. Sometimes when you get these carburetors, this hole might be the wrong size, and this little piece might not fit in the hole. You might have to open up the hole just a little bit. It only goes one way. You know what I'm talking about. That hole right there. See that hole right there? It might be that's too small. You might have to open it up just a hair so you can fit that arm in there. And make sure you don't lose that spring. But besides the diaphragm, sometimes this gets clogged up. Now you can also, what I'm going to do on the old car, but I'm not going to show it, is I'm going to pull out this throttle plate that's in here and push out this thing. Make sure it's real clean. And I don't know, somehow the only thing that's wrong with this carburetor is this bulb doesn't pump fuel. So it's probably a check ball in there or some crap that's screwed up, but I figure I'm just going to change it. It was only like 20 bucks for this damn thing, so what the hell. So we take out this screw, these bolt, that bolt, 5 screws. It just comes right the hell out. So again, you got that bolt right here that goes into this right here, and you got this bolt, and there's a spacer on mine. Some don't have a spacer, and you got the 5 screws, and then this just lifts out. And there's a little, you know, you got this little end's got to come out of there like that, you know, on the end right there, and then you just unhook it from here, right there. That's it. And then you slap the new one on. Alright, your diaphragm goes on first, and like again, what happens is, that's like your fuel pump, I think, right there, with the spring. Like you'll see this. I don't know where that spring goes exactly. Yeah, that's the spring. I think that's the spring, goes right over that, right over this. And that rubber just screws up after a while. It could split, it just wear out, or some garbage, or these. That's why if you're a commercial mower, you might be changing this $1 part, $1.25 part out, or whatever, to get a bunch of them every 3 months. And you hook this on here, and the way I got this hooked up is without the governor. I got it hooked up directly to the linkage up there. So I like putting it, I like having it where I can run it real low at an idle and go over areas. I don't like having to go one speed. That sucks. So I have it like hooked up directly to, you know, the throttle. So the diaphragm goes on, then this goes on. Oops, excuse me. Just got to go down like that, right? This goes on. Make sure everything's lined up. Of course, it's got gas in it like you're not supposed to do, but I'm going to keep this old one. I'm going to pull this carburetor apart and try to clean it up even better. The only thing that doesn't work on it is this. I think it's a check ball in there or something, but you know, I've had this thing 20 years, so. And it just slides up on there, but you got to get this through here at an angle. Put your screws in it, and there's a little on mine, there's a little spacer sleeve that goes on here. Yours might not. It might be part of the block or something. But that's it. And 2 screws. Line it up. It slides on there, and this piece right here, which is that piece, that goes on here. It just slides on, and this hooks up on here. So it's probably made in China, I don't know, but I got it from California, but it probably works. I'm sure it works. Yeah, I can see the squirter works. See that? I'm like, good. that was the only real problem with this carburetor. I had to squirt it like 20 times to get it primed. So, well, guess what? You know, the check ball, the only thing that was wrong, there's like a check ball right in here. See where this rubber gasket is? You press that down. I used a little bit of PB Blaster, press it down. This goes in here with this little lock ring around here. See that? And it just fits in the slots. With this, you just slide it in there. Squeeze those 2 things together. It's a little, because you know what? This Chinese carb don't run right. Piece of crap, man. So somebody's reselling stuff in California. It's basically junk. I'm going to try it again, but I actually fixed the primer thing with this, so I'm going to try it again. But you know, it runs great with this carb. The only problem was it wasn't priming, and I figured it is a simple fix. It was just this. So the ultrasonic, you could feel there's a spring in there. Boop, 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 boop. So I hit a little PB Blaster. Like if you, I don't know if you can see it. Well, it squirts when you press it in. It squirts now. So Probably word to the wise. I heard some crap about some of these Chinese carbs. I'm going to try them out. I'm going to try this thing out again. I'm going to keep it anyway because there's probably some crap in here I could probably use maybe in the future. But it runs too rich with this stupid carburetor. It runs perfect with this thing, but it's fixed, and that's how you change the carburetor. But I would like lesson learned here. I think this is a Chinese carburetor, even though it came from California. Somebody's just reselling some crap, and it's hit and miss with Chinese stuff. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. You know, not every time they're bad. But this one's fixed, so we're good to go. Yeah, once it warms up, it's okay. It's not warmed up yet, but I can bring the idle down lower like this, and I got to clean the air cleaner or bring it up. See, the whole point is like, I don't like using that governor. Once it warms up, it gets smoothed out a lot though. But I don't like using that governor because sometimes I like running it real low in areas where I don't want it to throw up a lot of rocks and stuff. So, but I think the problem with the Chinese carburetor is somehow it's not completely flat. And I also, the reason I didn't put it in there though is there was a screen over this and it fell out. It fell out just from the vibrations. I was like, crap. So I'll keep it because one of these days this part's going to break, or the bulb is going to break on one of my carburetors, or maybe I'll lose a spring or something else will break. So, you know, they're still about half the price of the Briggs Stratton, but you know, how many decades is it going to last until I need a part off of this? So a lot cheaper than buying a lawnmower. I got other things I like to spend my money on. I need to clean out this air cleaner a little bit. Confederate flag. Anyway, and of course, that spark plug was pretty dirty. It was in there freaking for years. That's the right spark plug. It's RJ19LM. I like using this little stubby to take it out. So the primer bulb works, so you know, good to go. Anyway, over and out. Hopefully I passed on the tip. You can fix that primer bulb. I mean, normally this splits and you got to just replace this rubber thing, but it could also be inside there. It needs to be fixed. But and this, it does run with this Chinese carburetor, but even worse than that. So I didn't like it when his screen came off, but I think, you know, I don't know. It might just be the way it's sealed up, who the hell knows. But once it warms up, I know it runs a lot better. It's old. It's 22 years old, and it's been used extensively a lot. So, you know, it's going to last another 20 years, though. I don't give a crap. So that sucker will go in a plastic Ziploc bag. It actually does work. It doesn't run as good as the other carb. And the engine, once it warms up and the air cleaner is on, then it runs really smooth, even though it's 20-something years old. But anyway, I like setting it up without the governor on it. This way, like if I'm coming in down in there or something, I don't like running it real fast. You know, I like running it real low RPMs. This way it doesn't kick up rocks and stuff. So it's one of the things.